This was a personal invitation from Patrick Mahomes.
It was. I'm very excited.
Welcome to That's Good Sports. I am Brandon. The Detroit Lions can and we maybe witnessed a market correction in the NFL this week. The suspect, Vikings, Giants, and Jets all lose. Jeff Saturday does not win as a head coach, and footballs were bouncing off everyone's friggin' heads. Today, we will relive the best, the worst players, plays, games, moments, everything from NFL, Week 11. Please consider subscribing to this YouTube channel, but only if you find me repulsive. I just want the haters to hate watch me. And I want the lovers to buy my coffee. BenchwarmerBrew.com. This week we're doing a big sale for Black Friday. For Black Friday, buy one, get one 50% off at BenchwarmerBrew.com. We've got my blend, we've got Urinating Trees blend, we've got 5 Points Vids blend, and we've got Tom Grossi's tea bags. Check it out, Black Friday, BenchwarmerBrew.com. Let's begin with the worst fumble. Melvin Gordon, who has now been released by the Denver Broncos after his 5th fumble of the season directly cost the Broncos their 3rd victory this season. I can only hope that the Kansas City Chiefs decide to pick him up now. Worst? How announcers have to call Broncos games. Here's Rick Levang on the call for the Denver Broncos field goal.
8 minutes, 12 seconds on the clock here at Prozac Stadium at Mile High. Unusual play call here on 3rd and 1 for Denver. Here's the snap. The ball is placed. McManus gets it airborne. Looks like we got a foot race. Here we go. Ball's in the air at the 25, 20, 15, 10, 5. Field goal, Denver!
And best fans? Well, that's going to Bills fans. Not only did they help Bills players get out of their driveways, 50,000 Bills fans showed up to the game in Detroit. This is probably the biggest population boom the city of Detroit has gotten in the last 25 years. And I just don't think any fan base can compete with Bills Mafia. Best falling down touchdown? Well, that's going to Josh Allen, whose arm is so strong that it sweeps him off his own feet. Oh boy, I wish he could sweep me off my feet just once. If that 30 for 30 was the 4 falls of Buffalo, this gotta be the 5th. The home team won in Detroit and the Lions won on the road in the same day. And now the Bills play the Lions in Detroit on Thanksgiving. My best quarterback? Well, this week it's going to running back Derrick Henry, who emerged from the trenches to throw a beautiful jump pass to Austin Hooper for a touchdown.
You know, I call myself a young Peyton Manning, so it felt good.
I promise you, Derrick, Peyton Manning has never jumped that high in his life. The best real quarterback? Well, that was challenging this week. Dak Prescott looked great against the Vikings. Andy Dalton had a near perfect passer rating and 3 touchdowns in the Saints victory. That's significant because I'm pretty sure he was my worst quarterback last week. And he balled against a solid Rams defense. Ultimately, though, I'm going with Joey Burrow in a classic 4-touchdown, 355-yard performance against a tough Steelers defense. Burrow, in 36 games, has passed for over 10,000 yards in his career, becoming the 3rd fastest to do it. He was only sacked twice in that game, and that's with TJ Watt teeing off the edge. TJ Watt did grab a pick in this game, one of Burrow's 2. Clearly, this is not Burrow making a mistake, but TJ Watt going full wattage. And since we're talking about Bengals Steelers, I award Pittsburgh with the worst finish. Pittsburgh tried to get the ball back on an onside kick. George Pickens didn't recover the ball, wasn't really close, but opted for a weird-looking helmet-to-helmet hit on Tyler Boyd. I guess you could say he had perfect aim on that one. Worst quarterback? Well, I already made a video talking about Zach Wilson and the Jets and how bad they were, so in the interest of not repeating myself, I'd like to give a special shout out to Kirk your Cousins is hot, who barely cracked the 100-yard mark in the Vikings' 3-point outburst against the Cowboys. Now, we should have expected nothing less from Kirk in a marquee game, but I really have to admire his consistency. Vikings fans should have never allowed him to become a sex symbol. That's always a mistake. In fairness to Kirk, he was pressured on 63% of his dropbacks. He was sacked 7 times, which certainly doesn't make for a comfortable experience. Most he's ever been dropped. But this is best and worst, not context and worst. Fortunately, Kirk only has to wait a couple more days for a chance to get the taste out of his mouth. Unfortunately, that game is against New England in primetime. Best individual performance? Well, it's time to give some love to one of my favorite players in the league. Who has the most touchdowns in the NFL? Is it Travis Kelce? Is it Devontae Adams? Derrick Henry? Nick Chubb? Hell no, it's Jamaal Williams, who added 3 tuds on Sunday in the Lions' victory over the New York Football Giants in New Jersey. If anyone's keeping track, that's 3 wins in a row for Dan Campbell and his team. This is the first 3-game win streak for the Lions since November of 2017. BC. No, not before Christ, before COVID. Jamaal Williams might be the ultimate goal line running back. He plunged into the end zone. Out of his dozen TDs this year, 7 of them have been from a yard out, and 1 came from the 2-yard line. Last year, all 3 of his touchdowns were 1-yarders. If you're at the goal line, give the ball to Jamaal. Sounds like a nixed Deion Sanders segment from the NFL Network. Luckiest to not lose? Well, that's the Eagles, who had the worst carryover problem from the last game when A.J. Brown fumbled the ball in this one. Based, though, on what Jalen Hurts did at the end of the game to get the dub, I'm giving him the... This is 10% luck, 20% skill, 15% concentrated power of will, 5% pleasure, 50% pain, and 100% reason to remember the name award. Also, Nick Sirianni, still my favorite frat bro head coach. Best offense? Well, that belongs to the Dallas Cowboys, who dropped 40 on a tough Vikings defense. Dak Prescott completed 22 of his 25 passes. Tony Pollard combined for nearly 200 yards of offense and caught a pair of touchdowns. And Zeke Elliott nearly matched Jamaal Williams with a couple of 1-yard touchdown runs. They also set up Brett Maher for a 53-yard field goal, a 60-yarder, and a 50-yarder, which might as well have been a chip shot at that point. This was a nice bounce-back game for Dallas after losing a heartbreaker at Lambeau a week ago. This was the Cowboys' largest road win in team history, and Micah Parsons now has 5 games with 2 sacks this season. Worst offense? Well, familiar spot for the Carolina Panthers, so yeah, you get the award. You could argue that this rightfully belonged to the Jets, Patriots, or Texans, but I think the Panthers' offensive output was especially shameful considering their defense did a hell of a job keeping the Ravens to just 3 points for most of this game. Baker Mayfield was truly dreadful, throwing for under 200 yards and a pair of picks. It's so bad that the Panthers are probably going to have to turn to Sam Darnold to save the team. And I'm just hoping at this point they give Josh Rosen a shot to complete the trifecta of the 2018 QB bust group. Best defense? The best D belongs to the Washington Football Commanders, who held the Texans to just 148 yards of offense, including just 21 on the ground, and opened the game with the pick 6 courtesy of Kendall Fuller. Jonathan Allen and Montez Sweat combined for 4 sacks, and Derek Forrest had one of the more impressive interceptions I've seen this season. The Commies were once 1-4, and now they've got a winning record. They have won 5 of 6 and are still in last place in the NFC East, but this team has just been different under Taylor Heineke. And since Jim Irsay aired out Dan Snyder, it's like the fog is starting to lift in D.C. Worst moment? Matthew Stafford getting his second concussion in 2 weeks after throwing his best pass of the season, a 62-yard bomb. The Lions were playing in New Jersey. The Bills were playing in Detroit, but it feels like the spirit of the Lions has inhabited the LA Rams this season. Patrick Mahomes with a 24-3 record against the AFC West, while also being 14-0 on the road in the division. That is the best start by any QB ever against their division. Best game, yes. It took place on Sunday Night Football in Los Angeles. Every game between Patrick Mahomes and Justin Herbert has been a one-score affair. Very entertaining. So it's no surprise this one came down to the wire. The Chargers had one job in this game, and that was cover Travis Kelce. They said no thanks, and Kelce went off for 115 yards and 3 touchdowns, including the game winner. And he broke Gronk's record with his 33rd game with 100 receiving yards or more. Herbert had a chance to drive the Chargers down the field to get into Dicker the kicker range, but Herbie, fully loaded, got stalled with an interception that sealed the game for Kansas City. You know what? Herbie fully loaded, he's more like a Tesla, you know? Fully electric like the Chargers. Except when you test the self-drive mode, it just crashes into a wall. No one is surprised, though, when the Chiefs pull these games out at the end. This game also featured the worst coach. No, not the numbers nerd who understands every analytic except for scoring more points than your opponent. I'm talking about the former head coach of the University of Louisiana football, Coach Klein from the Waterboy, aka Henry Winkler, who said this.
Love the way Patrick Mahomes plays the game. There is no drama, there's improvisation, there is concentration, there is grace, and there is winning. And I'm getting to meet him today, and it was a freak accident. I was talking to Rich Eisen, and I said, do you know Patrick Mahomes? He said, yes. I said, I'm inviting him to my house for a chicken stuffed with ricotta and spinach.
This was a personal invitation from Patrick Mahomes.
It was. I'm very excited.
Okay, fine. Even as a Chiefs hater, that's the sweetest, cutest thing I've ever seen a grown man say. Best finish? Well, the obvious answer is, of course, the Marcus Jones touchdown in the Patriots game, but I covered that video in the new worst game I've ever seen, published earlier today here on YouTube. So I'm going with another team to get a big return in the game, the Atlanta Falcons. Momentum was slipping away after this best play by Justin Fields to tie it up. He literally extends this play for 10 seconds on a game-tying drive. This is reminiscent of the Kyler Murray play against the Raiders from earlier this year, but in this instance, Fields keeps his eyes downfield the whole time and finds Equinemius St. Brown for a Saint first down, keeping the Bears alive. This game also featured my best mono job, a true one-hander from COle Kmet, who's turned into a Diet Gronkowski over the last few weeks, proving himself to be one of Justin Fields' most reliable targets in Chicago. This, though, is about the finish the Falcons delivered. After that tying touchdown by the Bears, Atlanta converted a 4th and short with Mr. Do-It-All Cordero Patterson, who not only comes up big at the end of the game, he of course set the record for most kick return touchdowns in this game, getting his 9th kick return TD all time. But after he converts late on that 4th down, Young Wei Koo takes the lead with the field goal, and then possibly the most shocking part of this game, the Falcons get an interception to end the game. That's right, Atlanta's secondary made a play, which is why you get best finish, Hotlanta. Best giving of head is Michael Walker, kindly helping put the bust back in Bustin' Fields. Worst play? Well, this is a toss-up between a couple contenders. Justin Fields again nails another guy, this time his own offensive lineman, Michael Schofield, right in the back of his helmet. Is this an accident, or is Justin Fields getting out his frustration after 2 seasons of bad protection? Regardless, that is fields on field crime. The second is this deep ball from Kenny Pickett to a wide open George Pickens who trips with no one around him, and a beautiful tribute to one Eric Decker. And finally, my best defender, it's going to Max Crosby, who had 2 sacks on Russell Wilson, forced a fumble, and blocked a field goal 1 play later. You might as well put a 3rd X on Max because he keeps fucking the Broncos in an obscene manner. Will Perna, the Detroit Lions, Cannon Will Perna. See, I did my name thing the whole episode. The longest middle name ever. Thanks for watching That's Good Sports here on YouTube. I'm on Twitter, Instagram, @Brandon Perna if you care to follow me there. And I recap the Jets game and the Patriots games as the new worst games ever. Those videos are up here on YouTube. Check them.